Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of r/slash entitled people. In today's episode, but I just ran 26 miles. Update 2. I kicked my soon-to-be ex-friend out of my house. Woman wanted her drink made before those ahead of her. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. But I just ran 26 miles. I staffed a marathon recently. I was stationed at the finish line, right in front of the medical tent. Anyone in need of medical attention could go straight from the finish area to the medical tent, and I helped guide them there. The hospitality area, with food, drink, and other vendors, was also near the finish line. To get there, runners had to go to the exit, which was past the medical tent. After that, they went on the other side of the medical tent and arrived at the hospitality area. This route took about 30 seconds longer than cutting through in front of the medical tent area. There was a fence separating the medical area from the hospitality area, manned by other staff to make sure that regular folks did not cut through. Staff were allowed through, though. Keeping the medical area uncrowded makes it easier for people to get the medical attention they needed. One of the things I did was to screen runners. Anyone needing medical attention I sent to the medical tent, while those going anywhere else I directed to the exit. Some runners, seeing what they thought was a more direct route to the hospitality area, wanted to cut through the medical tent area. After confirming they did not need medical attention, I directed them to the exit, politely and professionally. Almost everyone was fine with that. But not this one woman. 5.5 hours after the start of the marathon, after nearly all the other runners had finished, an entitled woman tried to cut through. I told her, politely and professionally, the exit was that way. But I just ran 26 miles, she whined. Yes, and the exit is that way, I said, or something like that. She tried to make her case, but I did not yield. Eventually, she poutingly went around. Here are my mental responses to her. I just ran 26 miles. Are you sure that ran is the right word here? Yes, and so did thousands of other people. They all went around. What makes you so special that you need to take a shortcut? Congratulations. Are your legs going to fall off if you walk another 50 yards now? Sheesh. Are you sure that ran is the right word here? I was a 5+ hour marathon runner, and I can assure you that a 12.5-minute mile is still running. Not fast, but it's not a walk. I once walked a marathon with a friend who had lung cancer, and we barely finished in the 8-hour course limit, and I was more exhausted than from running one. Remember that they were probably pushing their physical limits, and working at your limit for 5 hours, or 8 hours, is more exhausting than doing it for 3 hours. Yeah, I was a bit put off by this too. I ran my last one in about 5:25. I could barely walk once I stopped running. Never ran a marathon, but had family who did. From what I recall, they didn't have the energy to do more than what they were told to do at the end. Far from the elite, 50 to 60 ages, things were fairly calm by time they crossed. Guess who just decided to start selling timeshares at the finish lines of marathons? She was exhausted and possibly not at her finest. You say there was barely anyone left, but you still needed to stick to the rules, for what? And mock her finish time. Not a great look for you. You should have put this on AITA. You might be surprised at the responses. Update 2. I kicked my soon-to-be ex-friend out of my house. At this point, I wonder if I should change the title to The Kindle Chronicles. Hello, everyone. It's been about 2 months since I kicked my now ex-friend, Kindle, out of my home. For those who has read my story before, just want to let you guys know Doggo and I are well fed and happy. If you guys remember last time, and one of my friends who sided with Kindle told me about all the horrible things that has happened while having Kindle as a roommate. Oh boy, and had to call the cops to evict Kindle. I happened to meet and at a pet-friendly cafe to enjoy a good book yesterday while my doggo gets to enjoy playing at the doggy daycare-ish kinda area. I did wonder if it was intentional on her side since all my friends know I love this cafe in particular, and greeted me and asked if she could sit and have a chat with me. We started out with some small talk, but the moment she brought up about her evicting Kindle, I just sat there and listened. I gave in a smile and prodded her lightly with a comment I borrowed from the previous comment on Reddit. "Oh, so you're gonna really kick her out then? I remember someone last told me it was cruel to kick a friend out of their homes," and stuttered for a while before saying how I should have made a post to counter/clarify Kindle's social media claims about me. I simply told her neither have I the energy to do so, nor I have the need to, which in turn landed us in some brief, awkward silence before I asked what she needed from me, and told me she wanted someone to vent to about Kindle and didn't know who to turn to, and told me she filed a police report against Kindle for theft and destruction of property and ultimately needed the assistance of police officers to evict Kindle from her home. She is also in the midst of filing a restraining order, as she mentioned Kindle looked completely psycho at that moment. Unlike me, and lives in landed property, so I guess she'd be a lot more worried about Kindle coming back to find her. Kindle apparently stole Anne's debit card and spent a whopping $2,000 in total, and only found out about the missing money when she found her debit card missing from her wallet. She checked the bank statements only to find that $2,000 went to clothes, expensive meals, and clubbing activities. At this point, one might ask, how did Anne know it was Kindle that spent that money? Well, the answer presented itself when Kindle came home screaming at and for terminating her debit card. According to Anne, Kindle was shouting every insult in the book while flailing her arms around with Anne's debit card in hand, which Kindle proceeded with slamming the card on the table before storming off into her room. That was the first time, and felt afraid of another person, much less a friend. Since then, Kindle made Anne's life hell on earth. Kindle would leech off Anne's groceries, judges her choice of snacks, body shames, and etc. Kindle also attempted to seduce Anne's boyfriend. She once kissed Anne's boyfriend, let's call him Jason, on the cheek and giggled before running straight for her room during movie night. In another instance, she groped Jason's manhood right in front of, but later claimed that she was drunk and thought what she touched was a couch pillow. The worst thing that Kindle did was throwing herself onto Jason and saying she has a fever, and later guided Jason's hand to feel her breast, in which and walked in at the same time Jason's hand was under Kindle's shirt. These incidents has since caused a strain between the three, and Jason felt awkward to the point where he told and he would stop visiting her house unless Kindle moves out, and cried for a bit when she reached this part, and then told Kindle to move out and gave her a week to do so. Kindle then cried and ran out of the house, only to come back later in the evening to lock herself in her room, and presumed that Kindle is packing her stuff, and she decided to ignore Kindle for the time being. The next morning, and woke up to the sound of some grunts and broken ceramics. She rushed out to her yard to see an unhinged Kindle swinging a rod against everything she could hit, a tree, flower pots, even the grass on the ground. This led to immediately lock her doors and call the police, fearing for her own safety. The police arrived and handled the situation swiftly, and they took Kindle away. There was still a lot of screaming and shouting, and said she's not sure if Kindle is being locked up or has anyone who would have posted bail for her. While I guess it was kinda nice sipping tea about Kindle, but at how Anne described Kindle is behaving, I wonder if she'd actually needed professional help. I can't help but feel sad for her condition, despite we have gone no contact for 2 months. Jeez. Makes me wonder if Kindle is psychotic or on meth/crack/PCP. Yeah, this sounds like meth behavior. Kindle has main character syndrome. She thinks that everything revolves around her and her life. Your best bet is that the both of you pass along the word that she is flat out crazy, and none of your mutual friends should be dumb enough to let her move in, unless that are okay with being stolen from and shit on constantly. Whether she has a mental condition or not, it isn't your problem, it is hers. Unless she hits rock bottom or gets therapy, it will never end. No, I am related to some who act like this. They are entitled to a royalty level, feeling everyone and the whole world owes them everything, a free ride and a living. When they are denied all these things, they just lose all control and either destroy stuff and or physically attack the people who said no to them. They do not accept no as an answer. They also feel they are in the right and that they never do wrong. There is a reason there are prisons for his kinds who destroy others' stuff, respect no one, and eventually try to physically force or make O'Hares do what they want them to do. Woman wanted her drink made before those ahead of her. This happened a while ago, but I only just recently found this sub and felt it worth sharing. I used to work at a coffee shop in the Skyway system of downtown Minneapolis. Every morning, we would be slammed with a steady morning rush from about 7 a.m. until 9 a.m. Lots of busy folks in a hurry to get their coffee and head to their offices. On this particular day, I was stationed at the espresso machine while my coworker took orders and rang everyone up. We had a system where we would write the drink order on the cup and line them up next to the espresso machine in order. Everything was on a standard first come, first served basis, and everyone, or so I thought, understood this. I had about 4 to 5 drinks lined up that I had not started yet, but I was pretty good about cranking out those drinks quickly and still making them well. As I was in the zone making drinks, I noticed the woman who had just placed her order looking at the line of drinks with an exasperated look on her face. As we made eye contact, she said to me, "Excuse me, I'm in quite a hurry. Could you make my drink before those other ones?" It took me a few seconds to answer because I was pretty baffled at her audacity. I looked at her and then scanned the faces of the customers who had arrived before her and were patiently waiting for their drinks. All of them also seemed as baffled and annoyed as I was. They were all looking at me and wondering how I would handle the situation. I gestured towards the orders ahead of her and said, "I'm sorry, but I absolutely can't do that. These folks may very well be in a hurry too." Suffice it to say, she was surprised and upset by my answer. She was in quite a huff at this point and said, "Fine then, cancel my order." I yeeted that cup straight in the trash right in front of her and proceeded to crank out the drinks, and everyone was happy. Everyone but her. Wow, I'm surprised she was still there. If I was in that much of a hurry, I would have been long gone, not still there making faces. I think she was hoping I would change my mind at the threat of losing her business. It's the morning rush. Everyone is in a hurry. You aren't special. That's so rude. OP, you handled that perfectly. The only thing that would make it more perfect is if she had to stand in line to get her refund. She didn't. The person in line behind her was happy to let my coworker do a quick refund so that we could all be free of her. Looking back, we should have made her go to the back of the line. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.